Hello everyone, and welcome back to our channel. Today's story is one of the most jaw-dropping political ironies South Africa has seen in years. Just when you think you've seen it all in Mzansi politics, Jacob Zuma re-emerges, not quietly, not with humility, but with full force, lobbing verbal missiles and shaking the already fragile political balance. This time, he's not only condemning the ANC, the party that once elevated him to the highest office in the land, but doing so while potentially negotiating a political comeback. Yes, you heard that right, a comeback. Former President Jacob Zuma, infamous for his involvement in state capture, hollowing out of key institutions, and leading a presidency riddled with scandal, has now declared that the African National Congress is completely dead. Not broken. Not wounded. Dead. A bold, if not hypocritical, statement from a man whose time in office is widely blamed for much of the ANC's reputational and institutional collapse. And yet, in the wild contradictions that define South African politics, we now hear that senior ANC leaders, including Deputy President Paul Moshatile, are reportedly open to working with Zuma's new party, the Umkhonto we Sizwe, or MK party, to form a government. That would mean pushing out the Democratic Alliance in the process. Now let's take a moment to truly appreciate the absurdity here. Zuma was ousted by the ANC for corrupt leadership. His administration was defined by cronyism, patronage, and the infamous Gupta-linked state capture project. But now, facing the prospect of falling below 50% in the national elections, the ANC is considering bringing back the very man who many believe triggered its downward spiral. You can't make this up. Zuma has spared no effort in dragging President Cyril Ramaphosa through the mud. In recent weeks, he's doubled down on attacks, branding Ramaphosa's ANC as spineless, compromised, and directionless. He's accused the leadership of betraying the struggle legacy, reducing the party to a mere puppet for white capital and foreign interests. His comments haven't been vague or subtle, he's gone for the jugular, repeatedly and ruthlessly. And yet, despite all of this, some in the ANC reportedly believe that Zuma might be their only hope of holding on to power by keeping the DA out of a potential governing coalition. Let's be clear, the DA has been gaining momentum, particularly in urban and middle-class areas, and is projected to do well in several provinces. For the ANC, whose support has been sliding amid rising unemployment, electricity failures, and poor service delivery, the threat of a DA-led coalition is real. That fear appears to be pushing the party toward desperate strategies, including rekindling alliances with political figures they once labeled as toxic. The irony is rich. Zuma is now positioning himself as a kingmaker. His MK party, though relatively new, has gained traction in parts of KwaZulu-Natal and the Eastern Cape, exploiting disillusionment with both the ANC and the opposition. He presents himself as the guardian of radical economic transformation, the defender of black economic interests, and a man wronged by a corrupt judicial and political elite. It's a masterclass in political reinvention, or manipulation, depending on your perspective. Critics argue that any alliance with Zuma is not just tone-deaf, but downright dangerous. They see it as political necromancy, resurrecting a ghost from the past with unfinished business and a score to settle. Zuma's resurgence isn't about unity or governance, they argue, it's about revenge. It's about destabilizing Ramaphosa, regaining influence in state structures, and rewriting the legacy that condemned his presidency. And there's good reason to be concerned. During Zuma's term, state institutions were gutted, the economy stagnated, and public trust in government eroded to dangerous levels. From Eskom to the National Prosecuting Authority, from SARS to SAA, the damage was deep and deliberate. Billions were siphoned off, and accountability became a joke. Why then would the ANC, of all parties, contemplate a partnership with a man whose political brand is synonymous with dysfunction? The answer lies in cold, hard political calculus. The ANC knows its bleeding support. The MK party threatens to split the ANC vote in critical provinces. An alliance, no matter how morally questionable, might be the only way to secure a parliamentary majority. And Zuma knows this. He's leveraging his new role, not just to exact revenge on Ramaphosa, but to reassert himself as a central player in post-election negotiations. So, what does this mean for South Africa? It means we are standing at a critical crossroads. On one path, there's a chance, however slim, for political renewal, greater accountability, and a government that puts the country ahead of factions. On the other, we risk slipping into a dark repetition of the Zuma years, only this time with even fewer constraints, less accountability, and more political opportunism. Ordinary South Africans are watching all this unfold with growing cynicism. Many are tired of the empty slogans, tired of the factional battles, tired of leaders who put party before country. They've lived through load shedding, collapsing municipalities, water shortages, and failing hospitals. To them, the idea of Zuma coming back to power, even indirectly, is an insult, a betrayal of everything the struggle stood for. But here's the real tragedy: political memory in South Africa is short. What should disqualify someone from office becomes a badge of honor. Instead of being held accountable, disgraced leaders are recycled, repackaged, and reintroduced as saviors. It's a cycle of betrayal and forgetting, a loop that never breaks. As Paul Moshetal and others weigh their options, they must ask themselves, is clinging to power worth reviving the very forces that nearly destroyed the ANC from within? Can a nation move forward when it constantly drags its darkest chapters back into the spotlight? And so, we pose the question to you, our viewers: should the ANC form a coalition with Jacob Zuma's MK party? Is political survival more important than principle? Can South Africa afford to gamble on Zuma again? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. We want to hear from you. And if you found this video insightful, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so you never miss a breakdown of the stories that shape our country. Thanks for watching, and as always, stay informed, stay engaged, and stay critical. See you next time.